seeing all the plans Trump and his team have for Bitcoin. I'm sure Europe will follow. What they don't get, it's not going anywhere, and they can't ban it. The people will still use it. What I'm trying to push on them is how important Bitcoin is for human rights organizations, for the third world country, for the developing countries. We have now our own freedom currency that the government can't take away from us, that they can't censor, that they can't inflate, they can't steal the money from us anymore. That's really powerful. I fought for this country 11 years in politics. I did everything I could. But if this socialist course is continuing, I'm not going to stay here. This is the best opportunity for Bitcoin mining, because in Germany, when you have a lot of sun and a lot of wind, we have way too much energy. We have to get rid of the energy. We have to pay other countries to take the energy to stabilize our grid. So we pay millions for other countries just to take our excess energy. Stand your ground. Don't give in. You have an opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. Speak up. That's the most important thing. Don't be afraid of speaking up. We are more than they are. If all the people speak up, if we stick together, they can't jail everybody. The jails are not big enough for all of us. So if all of us are speaking up, they have no chance. People forget that the politicians are our employees.
Hi, Joana. How are you doing? Everything fine on your end?
Yes, hi. I'm in Berlin right now. It's time for the Bundestag again. Our government collapsed a couple of weeks ago, so there will be a new election in next February, and we still have a lot of work to do.
Really, really interesting. I heard about that they collapsed. I think it was like a few weeks ago. I heard it on the Austrian. I usually don't listen to mainstream media, but I have this routine where once a week I just listen in there to see all the topics they're covering. It's like half an hour every week to just keep up with where Austria is going, and obviously Germany is also a big topic always there. Just for people that know, to get a background, especially because we have a big American viewership, what is the Bundestag and who are you in general?
The Bundestag is the German parliament, and I'm a member of the German parliament since 2017. I was a member of the AfD when I joined the Bundestag, and I left my party 2 years ago. So now I'm an independent member of the German Bundestag, and it's the best time I ever had in the parliament. Because for the first time, I can really do what I want to do. I can set the topics I want to push forward in the parliament. When you're a party member, you're always dependent on your party, and you always have to do what your party tells you to do. And to be able to say what I really want to say and to vote like I really want to vote is valuable. It's not common in the German parliament that you're able to do that as a member of parliament. You're always dependent on your party. And at the moment, we have a big coalition from the Red Party, the Social Party, the Green Party, and the Liberal Party. And they collapsed. They couldn't work together anymore. And they collapsed the same week like Trump was elected in the United States. So it was a great week for conservatives and liberals in Germany to see this development, that everything's starting new in 2025. And I'm really curious how the year will fold out.
That's super interesting. It's for me always the question, like, why do we even have the party system in the first place? Why not just like everyone that wants to be voted in is written down on one list and then everyone is voted for? Is that something that just wouldn't work, or like why do we even have that party system in the first place?
I think if everybody is on the list, it will be very complicated. But our party system we have right now in Germany is not the solution, it's the problem. I think we have to rethink our political system in Germany because it's not working anymore. We don't have the democracy which is promised to us in our constitution, because it doesn't matter who you vote for. You vote for conservatives, for sure you get the Social Party or the Red Party or the Green Party with it. You vote for a right-wing party, there's no chance that the right-wing party will be a member of the government in 2025. Even 20 or 25% say we want to have that. So we really have a problem, and we're not able to elect people because the party has lists of people they already re-elected, and it said that these are the people you can elect, and if you want to have someone else, you have no chance to do that. Or if you don't want to vote for one of these guys, you have no chance to get rid of him. So I think we really have to rethink our political system. We have to rethink how we get the money out of the political system. I think that's a huge problem also in the US. I mean, seeing how many millions you have to invest just to be able to run for presidency is crazy. I mean, let's think about it, that only really rich people and only people who have access to really rich people can be elected as president of the United States. It's not okay.
I mean, I think that's one thing maybe that is even better in Austria and Germany, where we at least have more than two parties. Like we at least have like a little bit more options between those parties, even though some parties are kind of overlapping in content wise. But in America, it's even crazier. You just have like basically two parties, and you either get one party or the other party, and then you sometimes get gridlocks because the one is in the House and the one is in the Senate, where it's total chaos, at least as I see it.
But on the other hand, you at least get the politics you elected, you voted for. When you say, okay, the Republicans win, then you have a Republican president. In Germany, when you say, okay, we have a conservative chancellor who won the election, you still might get a left-wing government, something the people didn't vote for just because of the coalitions they have to form. So somehow it's not working anymore. And if you have parties which are not part of the political system because the other parties don't want to work with them, even though the people vote for them, it's not working anymore. So Germany isn't a left-wing country anymore. We have more conservatives and liberals in Germany now than we had 4 years ago. And for sure, we won't get a conservative liberal government in 2025. It's not going to happen. We know that already. So how is that democracy?
Interesting. It's kind of the same thing that is now happening in Austria, where we have a clear winner in the election, and nobody wants to collaborate.
Exactly. How is that democracy? You have a clear winner of the election who is not going to rule the country. I mean, you don't have to like them, but that's democracy. You have to accept the vote of the people, and if you don't do that, you really have a real problem.
And the crazy thing in Austria, I mean, it's a very small country for Americans, but the crazy thing, the party that won is already in 4 of the 9 districts in Austria already in the government, and will become now in the 5th district in Steiermark also become in the government. But they just say like, on the national level in Austria, that's not possible. But on all the district level, there it's possible because, there's no reason because, but that's kind of politics. And I think that's why people are really upset with politics right now. I don't know if it's everywhere in the world, probably El Salvador not, because I was there and people really like Nayib Bukele, it seems like. But in Austria and Germany, in Europe, I guess, there's really a big dissatisfaction with the governments and with politicians in general.
Yeah, I mean, we have the problem in all the Western countries, to be honest. I'm at a lot of conferences, and every time I talk to people from the States, the UK, France, Australia, Germany, we all have the same problems, and we all have to think about how can we change that. I'm really curious about the United States now, having Trump and his team in office from January on, because he promises some change. And the people he elected in his team promises a lot of change. So I hope they keep them. I hope they follow through, and then we maybe see some changes in the Western world, because we always follow the United States. It's crazy. It doesn't matter what the United States does. In a couple of years, Germany and all the European countries will follow. We took the vote virus into the European Union and Germany. And if Trump's going to change that, I'm sure we're going to adapt. And that's where we're coming to Bitcoin and seeing all the plans Trump and his team have for Bitcoin. I'm sure Europe will follow. A couple of years later, it will be way more expensive for us now than it will be for the United States if they follow through. But we will follow. So we will see. And as you mentioned, Bukele is doing something different. Milei in Argentina is doing something different, and he seems to be very successful promoting freedom for the people instead of the big government and instead of the big state. So fingers crossed that all these people are successful and Europe will follow.
Why is it like that? Like, why is Europe following? And I saw the same trend. Like, it's definitely something that's undeniably true. But why is it that Europe seems to be lagging a few years behind America, and America is kind of leading the way positively and negatively?
I have no idea, to be honest. I don't know why we can't be the first for some change. I mean, having Bitcoin now as a topic and seeing the possibilities and seeing the chances and seeing that El Salvador is doing it already. And the United States says we are going to start and have a Bitcoin reserve. And we see China and Russia now waking up again. Why don't we take the lead in Europe? I don't get it. Why are we so scared and always waiting for other people to do something? And then we see, oh, it's working out. Now we can adapt it. Why aren't we the one who say, okay, we don't see the risk first, but the chances, and we take the chances? I don't know why we are so fearful in Europe, especially in German. I mean, German angst is something you hear all over the world because we are always afraid of new things instead of seeing the chances and say, hey, let's try it. If it's not working out, it's not working out, but at least let's try it.
Are you the only member of the parliament which is openly for Bitcoin?
Openly, yes. As promoting Bitcoin the way I do, I'm the only one. There are a couple of colleagues who get Bitcoin, but their party aren't pro Bitcoin yet. So they're fearful about speaking out. I mean, we had a lot of events in the German Bundestag with my initiative, Bitcoin in the German parliament, where I invited a lot of Bitcoin experts to talk to my fellow MPs and to their employees about Bitcoin and educate them about Bitcoin, because you only can make good decisions when you're informed. And we had a lot of MPs sending their employees there, so they are not the people who go there by themselves. And we had employees registering with their private email addresses, so that we couldn't follow through which party they belong. So when sometimes I knew the people and said, okay, they're the liberals or they're from the Green Party. But they're still afraid of openly promoting Bitcoin. And that's something I really don't get. I mean, but also you see what problem we have with the party system if party members are not courageous enough to say, hey, I'm for Bitcoin openly.
So we kind of have to wait till one party says, hey, we want to make Bitcoin a platform. I heard, I'm not very deep into German politics, but I heard that AfD is actually looking into being the most bullish on Bitcoin, the pro-Bitcoin party for the next election, which is coming up in like 2 months, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a funny thing, because the AfD was my party. I left the AfD 2 years ago, and I tried to push Bitcoin in the AfD for a year. I had a bill prepared which we could bring into parliament, and I really tried hard in the party to say, this is a topic, this is important, let's do it. And they didn't want to do it. They weren't pro Bitcoin. They were very skeptical. They are very skeptical about all new digitalization invention. Because they're also conservatives and pretty scared of that. And then I left the party and said, okay, I'm going to push it now as an independent. And now they realized, seeing Trump and the election in the United States, that it's really something which is important to people and which can generate voters. And now they're saying, okay, let's do it. Let's take it and make it a topic. But only in the way to say we don't want any regulations for cryptocurrencies, for Bitcoin. It's not like they have their own ideas what they can do to push Bitcoin forward or to implement it in our energy system, like Bitcoin mining or something. It's like, just leave it alone. That's their position. But at least there is a party now in Germany which is taking on the topic. And I'm talking to some other colleagues from other parties to say, look, it's going to be a topic. It's not going away. So if you don't address it during the election, then you will have a problem.
Yeah, Nico Jilch in Austria made that work where I think he only reported it. Someone else actually asked the parties all the members of all the parties of the Austrian parliament were asked about Bitcoin and what their position is, and most of the parties was just like, how can I say in English? It's just like it's something that is like. How can I say it? I forgot the word, but it's nothing really a position. It's just like, yeah, it's innovation, or we see it very critical because of taxes. We see it very critical because of energy consumption. Like, they didn't bring up anything of substance.
Yeah.
How are the positions right now of the German politic parties? Are there any real positions? Are there anything where they like, oh, like, there's actually a position there, or is this just like in Austria?
And unfortunately, the people who talk about Bitcoin, most of them are negative in the German parliament. The same things you just mentioned. It's like, it's a climate killer. It's used by terrorists. It's used for money laundering. And we had the CDU, it's the biggest conservative party we have in Germany, issuing a bill last year to forbid or to ban changing Bitcoin into euros in Germany. So basically ban Bitcoin in Germany so that you can't use it anymore. That was the biggest party in Germany, which will have the next chancellor in Germany for sure. So it's very important then the German Bitcoiners wake up and talk to these politicians and tell them what a bad idea that is, to be against Bitcoin. So they only think about how can we regulate it, can we ban it, how hard can we make it to use Bitcoin, because the people who really look into it, it's like, yeah, it's a danger. Let's see if we can limit the use of Bitcoin. What they don't get, it's not going anywhere, and they can't ban it. The people will still use it. What they don't know, and what I'm trying to push on them, is how important Bitcoin is for human rights organizations, for the third world country, for the developing countries. That human rights foundations aren't able to use just normal currency. If you are active in Russia or in other countries, you will have your accounts closed. You're not able to collect any money for your cause. So they're using Bitcoin. Navalny was using Bitcoin. Assange was using Bitcoin. So that's something the politicians need to know, and that's something I always tell them. It's like, if you make it hard to use Bitcoin, you make it hard for human rights foundations and organizations to fund themselves.
It's super interesting, especially as you are seemingly the only one in Germany that did not only discover Bitcoin, but also got the courage and the conviction to actually speak up about it and make it a real big issue. How did you discover that, and how did you get that big conviction for Bitcoin? It was still in the time where you were with the AfD, I presume.
It was before when I started the AfD, but it was 2013 when my brother told me, hey, there's this thing called Bitcoin. If you have any money left you don't need, invest it. It might be that you lose everything. It might be that it is a big thing. Unfortunately, I didn't listen to him. He invested a lot. I didn't. But I rediscovered Bitcoin a couple of years later. I don't know. I think it was 2017 or 18 something, because I'm in politics to fight for freedom. That is my mission in politics, because I saw freedom declining in Germany, and I'm born in Romania. I know what it is to live in a country where there is no freedom, where you live under dictatorship. And I saw so many developments in Germany which were like, whoa, careful. Yeah, we know that from other countries. Like, if you're not able to speak up, if you're not allowed to speak your mind, if there's no freedom of speech, we have a problem in a democracy. And that's why I went into politics, and also because I knew that the money system is broken. I knew that printing money is one of the biggest problems we have in the world. And then I watched a video on YouTube about the Austrian School of Economics, combining it with Bitcoin. And there was the solution I was looking for. I didn't have the solution for the problems we have. And suddenly there it was. And it was like an instant light bulb in my head. It's like, that's it. And it's even better than I thought it could be, because of all the benefits which come with it, with personal freedom, with taking the power away from the banks, taking the power away from the government, reclaiming sovereignty for the people. So that was it when I said, that's important, let's push it. And as I told you, I wasn't able to do that within my own party, and I did it as soon as I was out of the party and an independent.
Interesting. Is for you Bitcoin now the most important freedom issue that we have?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's one of the tools we really have to take the power away from the people who don't have something good in mind for their country or for us, who really are only about how can we keep our power, how can we keep the money, and now how can we not how we can bring our own country forward. It's like when you listen to Donald Trump and says America first, you don't hear that in Germany or in other countries. It's like they're not looking after their people anymore. And being able to say, okay, we have now the sovereignty, we have our own freedom currency that the government can't take away from us, that they can't censor, that they can't inflate, they can't steal the money from us anymore, like they do with the euro or with the dollar, with the inflation. That's really powerful. And seeing governments not being able to stop it is very powerful. I mean, just look at what happened in Canada with the truck drivers who during COVID demonstrated against the vaccine mandatory. I think it's the right word in English. And Trudeau cut them off. They were not able to get any money. They had their bank accounts suspended. They had the PayPal, MasterCard, everything was shut down so that they couldn't get any money. And then people who wanted to give them some money switched to Bitcoin. And the Canadian government couldn't do anything about it. That's where you see that the people can get their power back.
That's interesting. And when we look at Germany, I think especially people outside of Europe, they got to know Germany at least this year when they sold the 50,000 Bitcoin. I think that's where Germany got famous in the last couple of months now, which is also really interesting when we see America now having around 200,000 Bitcoin still confiscated, not bought. So a lot of people say they don't really have it because it's not their Bitcoin, but they still have it. The same thing with Germany. They had the 50,000 Bitcoin. From a law perspective, from a political perspective, was the option of not selling those 50,000 Bitcoin even there on the table? Is that even something that they could have done, or they were forced to sell those?
Well, it wasn't really Germany. It was a part of Germany. It was Saxony who confiscated the Bitcoin. And they did so in January, and they sold in summer. So they had 6 months of thinking about what are we going to do with Bitcoin, with this Bitcoin. And yes, we have a law in Germany which says if you claim something and confiscate something which is in danger to lose value fast over the next couple of months, you have to sell them. So if you now have a Mercedes or something and you claim that as a country, you have to sell it fast because the Mercedes won't be that valuable in 5 years like it is now. Well, Bitcoin is not that kind of thing. It's not going to lose value. So they really had time, the politicians had time, half a year, to think about what are we going to do with this. Do we have to change the law? Can we just take Bitcoin off? Is Bitcoin even a part of this? Or can we say Bitcoin doesn't belong to this category of things you have to sell fast? But they didn't do anything of it. I mean, I wrote a letter to the Chancellor Scholz. I wrote a letter to our finance minister. I wrote a letter to the Minister of Saxony and told them, stop it. Stop it. Use these Bitcoin as a start of a reserve currency for Germany. And I didn't even get an answer. And so they sold. And if you looked at the nearly 100,000, the all-time high we had in Bitcoin a couple of weeks ago, they would have made 2 billion euros more when they sold then. Yeah, talking about losing value fast. It's crazy. And I don't see anything or any politicians thinking about changing the law now. So when it happens again, that they don't make the same mistake again. It's like, it's still there. So if they do it again, they again have to sell it. It's crazy. But now I saw that the Americans are also moving their Bitcoins now to some wallets. I don't know if this is the Biden administration trying to get rid of Bitcoin before Trump takes over. I mean, crazy if they also start to sell now.
Yeah, I think some moved to Coinbase, but I don't know if it's confirmed that they already sold it. I just saw the news that I think
yeah, they moved it. Yeah, that's the news I also saw. Yeah.
That's super interesting. Yeah, the president wants to get in the way of the next president, but I guess this were always some games played. But it's just like a month till Trump takes over, and maybe if they sell a lot of Bitcoin, maybe he signs some papers of like, yeah, let's buy Bitcoin now. This was interesting. I thought about that because America is now pushing that strategic reserve. They have a bill from the Cynthia Lummis, and I thought about it. I was like, why would they announce that bill, let it through Senate, through House, let time pass, and so that everyone knows that America is buying Bitcoin and then buy it? Why would not Trump just sign some executive order and buy it directly? Is that a possibility? Do you know? Or what do you expect of America once Trump actually gets elected? Especially they don't have a gridlock. Probably they have the House and the Senate. So it seems like they can do a lot of things, a lot of change in America now.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, of course, they wanted to be elected. So that's why they pushed the topic of Bitcoin forward, I think. But after the election, I also would stay quiet now so that the price is not going up if I really want to buy. So just be quiet and then just buy. And all the other countries are like, whoa, what's happening now? I don't think Trump gets Bitcoin, to be honest. I mean, I listen to his speeches. He's always talking about cryptocurrency and everything. And I don't think he really got it, but he got that it's an important topic, but he has very good people on his team. Bitcoiners on his team. A couple of them I met at Bitcoin conferences, and I'm pretty sure they will push him forward to really keep up with his promises and start making a Bitcoin reserve now in the United States with the Bitcoins they already have. And push the topic forward. I mean, I'm really curious about the energy sectors, about Bitcoin mining, what they're doing there. Because Trump promised to say, okay, let's make America the cryptocurrency country. So make sure we have enough energy for Bitcoin mining and everything. I'm really curious what they're doing in different kind of political topics now.
Absolutely. Bitcoin mining is also something really interesting that I want to get to. But first, what are your thoughts in general of game theory? We have really small countries like Bhutan adopting Bitcoin very aggressively, but it's basically a smaller city in Germany from the size. Then we have El Salvador, which is a little bit smaller than Austria from the population size, which is pushing it aggressively, which is important, but it's not America. the force that the European Union, China or America or one of the bigger forces or Russia has, it's not compared to what El Salvador has. So with America now, even just talking about that, no matter like when they actually do it, what are the thoughts? What are your thoughts around game theory when America is pushing that? I heard the UAE is also really pushing forwards. I think they have, with some statistics, the highest adoption rate when it comes to what the population already has on Bitcoin. How do you think about that? Also with like US, Europe, UAE, China?
I think Europe will follow. I think it will take some time in Europe because it's Trump doing it. And with all our governments we have in the European Union and the European Union itself, they hate him. They really hate him with all they have. So seeing that it's Trump pushing Bitcoin forward now, I think they will say, okay, if he's doing that, we're not going to do that. That will be in the initial thought because everything Trump does is not good in the eyes of our politicians right now. But I think over time they will get FOMO. If they see that it's playing out successful, they will follow for sure. To see that countries like the UAE or China or Russia are now waking up again because China was, they just tried to ban it. I think we should be worried about that if they are the first to say, okay, we're going to push that forward and buy a lot of Bitcoin or mine a lot of Bitcoin. As democratic countries we have in the European Union, we should be one of the first to do that and not leave these countries to lead the way, in my opinion. But as I said, with Trump, it will be a little bit difficult because the way we see him now, but they don't have any chance. They will have to follow. There's no chance around it.
I partnered up with Coin Vigilante. This is the most beautiful Bitcoin timepiece that I ever saw created by anyone. Look at that beauty. I love it so much. Coin Vigilante made a perfect Bitcoin watch. That's the perfect, subtle, elegant way to go out there and show that you are a Bitcoiner. And that watch brand is Bitcoin only. And Coin Vigilante just dropped a completely new and amazing Genesis edition of their watch collections. You have the date of the first ever mined Bitcoin block in there, and of course also the block height and which epoch we are currently in. I love the level of detail they put in this masterpiece, and make sure to check out those amazing Coin Vigilante timepieces down in the descriptions. I love those watches so much. If you watch or listen to my podcast on a regular basis, I guess you already bought some Bitcoin. And now the most important step is to keep the Bitcoin. Keep them secure in a hardware wallet. My personal recommendation for hardware wallet is the BitBox. It's super secure. It's simple to set up. It's also a perfect gift for a friend who has still their Bitcoin on an exchange. And you can get a 5% discount with the code Robin at the checkout. Visit bitbox.swiss/Robin to get your BitBox. And the next step is to really level up your sovereignty as an individual. You have to have the most secure self-custody setup. You have to secure your own devices. You have to protect your privacy. You have to set up an inheritance plan. And depending on where you live, you even want to have a plan B, a citizenship where you can move in case something goes really wrong. And through all those steps, the Bitcoin way is guiding you through step by step. And if you visit thebitcoinway.com/partners/Robin, you even get a 30-minute free call to find out how you can level up your sovereignty. And we talked about that before we started recording, what individuals can do to make change and to push politics. I think that's really an important topic. So for the people that are listening, no matter if they are sitting in America or in Europe somewhere, what should they do or what can they do to push the regulations in the right direction?
Yeah, I always, when I talk to Bitcoiners, they always tell me, I didn't vote for years. I don't care about politics. Leave me alone with all this shit. I have Bitcoin. I don't need it. I understand it. Being in politics for over 11 years now and in parliament for 7 years now, I totally get why people are fed up with politicians and fed up with politics. But, and here's the big but, you have to be involved. You have to get active. Because otherwise politicians won't change their mind. And especially in Europe, they will go on with this course of how can we really regulate Bitcoin and make it hard to use for the people. And when they realize that there are voters out there who are giving their vote to politicians who are pro-Bitcoin, they will start thinking about it. I see it now in Germany. We have a lot of Bitcoiners. We have a huge Bitcoin community in Germany. And they're starting to contact their MPs and making appointments with them and go there and tell them, hey, what's your stand on Bitcoin? What's your opinion? What are you going to do? And if the politician said, I have no idea, I never looked into Bitcoin, they tell them, no problem, I come back in 4 weeks. Then you tell me. So really having this to push the politicians to be forced to look into Bitcoin and to see what Bitcoin is really about is something which is really necessary, because when we are in the parliament, we have to make so many decisions. We are voting on so many things. It is not possible for the politicians to know everything and to really get what we are voting about. We are specialized in our topics. Like, I'm a person responsible for digital politics in Germany. I don't know when there's something coming from the nature department or from the financial district, the new tax law. I don't know the details about it. So I'm dependent on the colleagues, what they're telling me. And when all the colleagues in the parties tell them, well, Bitcoin is bad, then most of the colleagues in this party will follow. Except if they know about Bitcoin themselves. And when the party leader is telling them, no, we're going to reject Bitcoin and we're going to regulate it to death, when these party members speak up, this small orange group of people in all the countries, in all the parties speak up and say, no, let's talk about it. That's very helpful. So they have to be informed. In order to be informed, they need people to go walk up to them and tell them it's a topic. And that's us. That's the voters, which was what they have to do. In America, it's now a little bit easier with the Trump administration and Republicans pro-Bitcoin. But still talk to the politicians, still tell them it's really a topic which is important. Educate them about not only that it's good for wealth growth, but how Bitcoin mining is important, how it is important for other countries, Bitcoin, how we can use it in different kind of ways. Educate them, because politicians don't know everything. To be honest, they don't. They know just a little bit, but they think they know a lot. So just talk to them, be active.
Absolutely. And there's a popular saying in Bitcoin is like, Bitcoin doesn't care about politics, but the important thing here is politics cares about you, and you are still with your, like, no matter how many Bitcoin you have, you are still with your physical body in a jurisdiction where they have certain rights over you. So that's why you, from a normal standpoint, from your own incentive, you should care about politics and at least observe it carefully to see in what direction it goes. And if you want to make a difference, you have to speak with your representatives, with your parliament members, and so on, even on a regional level, on a national level, on maybe even on an EU level. There's also representatives there. So that's something really important. And I was even in politics in Austria before I got into Bitcoin. Then with Bitcoin, I got out of politics, and now I'm starting to get back in a little bit, because I see the importance of being there as a Bitcoiner in the politics section. And this is really something that is extremely important that we do. And we should not hide. Like, of course, we can be like the shadowy Bitcoiner that hides and is completely private and is hiding from the state. But that's a life I don't want to live. I don't want to fear that the government is doing something for me.
Yeah. And it's also a little bit selfish. If you say, okay, I have my Bitcoin, I'm fine. I know how to use Bitcoin. Even if my country is banning Bitcoin, I'm still going to use it. I don't care what the country or the government is saying. We want a lot of people use Bitcoin. We want to have the masses using Bitcoin because it's good for them. And if a country or the government makes it really hard for people to use Bitcoin because of the regulations, or if they make it illegal and you have to do it illegally, there are a lot of people out there who will be scared to use it. They will make it hard for the majority of people to use Bitcoin. So it's on the Bitcoiners who really get it to prevent that and to make it possible for all these people who have no idea how to use Bitcoin, but they want to use it, and to really advocate for them and make their life easier if we want to have Bitcoin in a broad adoption in Bitcoin in the world, and not only for a few.
Absolutely. And there are also, there's this making a difference with speaking to politicians and making the difference with your vote. But then there's also something different that is popular that I've seen now some Bitcoiners in Germany have done. I actually don't know any Austrian petty governors that have done it, but yeah, Austria is way smaller also, that they vote with their feet. So they leave the country. We have popular examples with Lina Seiche, but she's gone for a long time already. She's always on the move. Then there's like a Mark from Bitcoin Hotel, and there's a bunch of smaller ones and a bunch of other ones. I even was in El Salvador, and they have a house there with like, I don't know, 20 Germans from Germany that all left to El Salvador. Is that something that the government is even noticing? Is that something that the governments and the politicians are even aware of, who's leaving the country and who's entering the country? They are more aware of, but who's leaving the country?
They can't be not aware of it, because I think the last number I read is like 250,000 Germans leaving Germany every year. And they are mostly the young people, the well-educated people, because they say, look at Germany. You have to pay absurd taxes. We have a bureaucracy which is absolutely crazy. It's going downhill fast. All of our industry is shutting down. Look at the car industry, what they're done to the car industry with the politics we have right now. So they're leaving because they don't see any chances in Germany getting back on its feet. To be honest, in my circle of friends and people, I don't know anyone without a plan B. They all have a plan B. Where are we going to go if Germany is just failing? There is, of course, El Salvador. There is the United States, Thailand, Bulgaria, Hungary. The people are going away. It's like we're fed up. And if the next government doesn't change anything, it will for certain get worse. And I myself, I'm not going to get old in Germany if Germany stays the same. I'm going to leave the country. It's like I fought for this country like 11 years in politics. I did everything I could. But if this socialist course is continuing, I'm not going to stay here. And all of my friends are not going to stay here. And this is something that the German government needs to know, and the people who are in power. It's like they are exchanging their people. As we have millions of people coming to Germany from seeking asylum in Germany, and the well-educated are all leaving Germany. That's not working out. It's not going to work out. And I mean, look at El Salvador, what Bukele is doing, what he's offering for people, how easy it is for people to go to El Salvador and build something up and create something new, and what kind of people are moving there now. That's the way to do it. Or what Milei is doing in Argentina now, deregulate everything, getting the freedom back, make it possible for people to open their businesses, make it easy for people. That's the way to do it. And at the moment, the European Union is going directly the opposite way. I tried to open a company in Germany. It took me over half a year now, and I still don't have my number from the finance institutes, which I need to issue bills. It's crazy. It's totally crazy. I mean, if you do it in the United States, I think you're able to do it within a day online. And in Germany, it's like, yeah, well, but that's why people are leaving. And also because of the taxes, the price of living here is getting absurdly expensive.
Wow, I didn't knew that it takes so long in Germany. I did the same thing, obviously, with my podcast. I had to do it with in Austria, and it was quite easy. I got everything done, and I got my VAT number also within, I think, a month. It's still long, but like under a month, I think it's reasonable, at least understandable. But a half a year, that seems very long to wait, because always all of a sudden you need those numbers to make the bills and the invoices.
I mean, it was hard for me to get an account for my business because a lot of banks said no. And it's like, okay, if I can't open a bank account, how can I open a business? And
wait, they didn't let you open a bank account?
No, they didn't let me open a bank account. I think I had over 10 banks in Germany telling me, no, you're not able to open a business account with us. And actually, I now have a business account with a French online bank operating in Germany now. But I mean, that's why I'm back to Bitcoin then. It's not possible to say, well, you're not allowed to use it. It's having this bank issues in Germany now is pretty common because you have party members of the AfD who get elected now not into the German parliament, but in the county parliaments. And they got their bank accounts canceled because in the view of their banks, they have the wrong political view. So they canceled their bank accounts. And that's where I said, remember I talked about Bitcoin 3 years ago? So maybe you should look into it because it's not possible to do that with it. But that's how Germany is operating right now. If you have the wrong political opinion, you don't get your bank account.
That's crazy. I mean, that are paying customers. Why would you say no to that? Like, even if you disagree on a political level, if they don't harm people, like money should be completely neutral, in my opinion. Money shouldn't care about anything you do or stand for. That's how money should be. So like money, I think, is something that should be even for the worst people. They should even have access to the money, which is a hard thing to think about. Even if your worst enemy has money and access to that. But even going there, and it's just like a different political view, and you're just canceling them out of your bank account, and you are even disincentivized to do that because you would pay fees for that bank. You would be a paying customer. They would benefit from having you. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's the way politics Germany is working right now. And that's also one of the reasons why people are fed up and especially starting to vote for more radical parties, because we say we're fed up with this government, or just saying, okay, we're going to leave. Well, why should I care about Germany if they're trying to harm me just because I have the wrong political opinion?
Yeah, I think especially younger people are way more flexible with the votes and don't vote for the party that they always voted for. And they're like, hey, let's see what they are offering and let's see what I really like. And so that's where you see a big shift in Austria. And I think there will be one hell of a vote in Germany in February. I think a lot of politicians probably will wake up to reality in February in Germany, because as you've seen, all the polls from the current or the past government now, they're like at 30% now or something like that. I saw that they have not even like a majority of the votes now, which is crazy. So yeah, that's really interesting how it shakes up. Do you think in Europe, in Germany, is there any danger of the political powers doing real harm to Bitcoin? Talking about self-custody ban, mining ban, threatening on and off ramps. Is there any danger of real harm except of selling Bitcoin and the not so bigger harms?
There definitely is. As I said, the party who will have the next chancellor and who will be in the next government is the party with one of the bills who will make it very hard for us to use Bitcoin. I mean, if you are not allowed in Germany to change euro to Bitcoin, to buy Bitcoin with euros, I mean, how are you going to do that? So it's really, they're really on the wrong path right now. And they also wanted to ban the mixers and everything. So they can do really harmful things to Bitcoin. And that's why I always tell the Bitcoiners, call your MPs, talk to them and explain to them why Bitcoin is important. But I mean, having the Trump now and the Republican Party, for the next 4 years in the United States, maybe there is this influence if they see they start that they are not going to be that hard on Bitcoin because they see that they will harm Germany or they will harm themselves. So that's a little bit of hope I have. It's crazy to hope that the Americans are doing the right thing, that we get to normal politics in Germany right now. But yeah, the conservative parties in Germany are very against Bitcoin. And what I don't understand is the Green Party is against Bitcoin. I talked to a lot of people from the Green Party, where they said, well, we are against Bitcoin. I mean, yeah, but you want an energy change in Germany. You want to make Germany totally dependent on green energy, on windmills and solar. So this is the best opportunity for Bitcoin mining, because in Germany, when you have a lot of sun and a lot of wind, we have way too much energy. We have to get rid of the energy. We have to pay other countries to take the energy to stabilize our grid. So we pay millions for other countries just to take our excess energy, instead of having the Bitcoin miners starting when we have too much energy, using this excess energy by Bitcoin mining, and shutting down when we don't have enough energy anymore. For me, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer for green parties to say, okay, let's look into it. We have states like Texas and other countries who are doing that already, and they see it's working. Why is the Green Party against it? Why are they not trying? We have private companies starting that in Germany right now. We had one guy in our events with Bitcoin in Bundestag who had some windmills and who was installing Bitcoin miners by himself to use that. And we asked him, are you connected to the Bitcoin community in Germany? And he said, no. They said, okay, we are going to change that. So private people are already doing that, but the Green Party is not seeing that they can do that on a much bigger scale, and actually supporting their own politics, because of their energy politics. Energy is so expensive right now in Germany that normal people have a hard time paying their bills, and the industry is leading, because they say we can't afford that anymore. We're going to move to other countries with our complete fabrics and industry, and not producing in Germany anymore.
Which is crazy. I think Bitcoin mining is the biggest opportunity for renewable energy. It's solving so many problems of the energy market, with grid stabilizing, with bringing down energy costs, with heat reuse. There are great projects where there is an apartment complex and they're using the heat of the Bitcoin miners, and paying the miners is cheaper than paying the normal heating system. So there's really great innovations in the Bitcoin mining era, and it's a no-brainer. It's something where even if you really dislike Bitcoin, it still does make sense to incentivize Bitcoin mining in your country, and to make innovations in that direction. So it's just there's this German word Scheuklappendenken, where you just like have your eyes on one focus, and you're like, oh, Bitcoin, that's like a capitalist bad thing for the environment, and they don't even investigate further than that. They don't even look a little bit deeper. I think that's we need to look deeper, and we need to bring education. That's why I think education is the one thing that we just need to push as hard as possible in Bitcoin everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we need to start with our children and teach them about the money system, teach them about Bitcoin, that the next generation gets it. Well, the older generation won't get it anymore, but start with the children. And I know that there are some Bitcoin teachers out there who implement Bitcoin during their teaching in German schools, and that's something which is really great to see that.
I was in El Salvador in last month, and Mi Primera Bitcoin made a presentation, and they told us that they're not only already working with the government on bringing education to Bitcoin, but the government is now building a Bitcoin department in the education department, and they are working to educate teachers onto Bitcoin, and then the teachers are going ahead and educating the students on Bitcoin, which is like we don't even hear about investing and finances a lot in the Austrian. I don't know about the German, probably the same problem in the German school system, and they are hearing about Bitcoin. That's crazy that they are already doing that, and I think incorporating that education in your country will have a massive impact in 10, 20 years from now, where it's really a deep seed created in all of the population, and will bring rewards in the long run, and really make this whole thing sustainable. And I hope that we can make that also happen in Europe, but I just don't see it don't see the vision right now.
No, I also don't see it. I mean, there are a couple of teachers who are doing that, but when the government is not doing this, we have to do it. I mean, that's the people have to start moving and educate their children by themselves. And there are some great Bitcoin children books out there. So just to buy them, make them Christmas presents for all your friends' children, so that they know what Bitcoin is about. And yeah, let's hope the next generation is cleverer than we are.
Absolutely, absolutely. One question around Bitcoin. What do you think is in Europe the most safe country or the most bullish country on Bitcoin? If you're a Bitcoiner, in what country do you think you should be in Europe right now?
I think Switzerland. Switzerland is doing a great job at the moment. I mean, they have some Bitcoiners there, like Samuel Kuhlmann in the Berner canton policy. They're pushing forward now. They're had a bill asking for a report on Bitcoin mining and how they can use it in their county. Look at Lugano. It's the Bitcoin city. I think you can pay over 400 shops with Bitcoin, and you can pay your taxes in Bitcoin. So yeah, I think Switzerland. I mean, if it comes to money, Switzerland is always a good place to be, and they somehow get Bitcoin more than we do.
Absolutely. Yeah. I even heard it because my dad has some connections there. And he said, like, when he talks to his Austrian colleagues about Bitcoin, it's whole different perspective when he talks about the Switzerland connection with on Bitcoin. They just get it so much more. Even sometimes they don't even have Bitcoin, but they just get the properties way quicker. They just get the whole idea of sound money quicker. So yeah, Switzerland is very attractive also for me, because it's just like Austria without the EU. That's
True.
That's for me Switzerland right now.
Yeah, I mean, my husband is Swiss, and I lived in Switzerland for 4 years near Zurich, and then we moved back to Germany. So he was always telling me, "Is that a good idea to move back to Germany?" It's like, shouldn't we move back? It's like, yeah, maybe. I mean, Switzerland is a hell of expensive country. That's you have to earn a lot of money to live in Switzerland. But they're cleverer than we are, definitely.
That's one reason why I have not done it. If the cost would be similar, I probably already would be in Switzerland, to be honest. But maybe you have to compare all the costs also with taxes and stuff like that. Then maybe it's even cheaper in Switzerland. But yeah, Switzerland is something I'm looking into, because it's not that far away from Austria. It's literally next to Austria, but it's not that far away from my home region also. So yeah, maybe I'm in Switzerland soon. Let's see how it goes in Austria. I still have a lot of hope for Austria, especially as Austrian economics is such a big thing in Bitcoin. It would be very sad if Austria is turning into not friendly for Bitcoin. It would be very bad. Really cool. I have one more question before we start to our end routine. As there are now new elections in February and you are independent, what is your plan for the new elections? Do you already have that, or maybe also if the AfD is really a Bitcoin party now, would you consider rejoining them? How does your future plan look like?
No, I won't be rejoining the party. There are reasons I left the party. It's not the same party we founded in 2013. It's not the freedom fighting party I was part of. It changed a lot. I'm not, and didn't go into politics to follow other countries like Russia or China or Iran, because I'm someone fighting for freedom, and I'm not going to build allies with countries who don't do that, and who don't have the basic human rights for women or for everything. It's not everything is politics. I mean, even if you can benefit for because of some things and because of some alliances we have to think about what's really important. And for me, that's freedom. And I'm not going to be an ally to a country which is fighting against freedom. So that's one of the reasons I left the AfD. And I'm also not a corrupt politician. I don't take money from other countries or from other people to vote for a certain thing. And so the truth is, I will be out of parliament in February because I won't join any party. At the moment, there is no party where I feel I belong to. Maybe that's going to change in the future. I see a lot of movement in Germany right now. I see a lot of libertarians waking up and saying this is not the way Germany can be ruled and this is not the way to go. And actually, I was on a talk show yesterday with 3 other people at the table, and we all realized we're not going to vote in the next election because we have no party we can vote for. And they're all liberals, they're all libertarians on this table. And so they say, okay, we have to do something about that. We have to make it possible for libertarians and for freedom fighters to have a party to vote for. Maybe this will change in the future. We will see if there will be some movement in this kind of direction. But at the moment, I will be out of politics. Well, not out of politics, just out of the parliament. I won't stay quiet. I will still speak up. And I will find other ways to bring my view across, not only speaking in the parliament.
It seems like there is there's room for a new kind of party in Germany also, but it's probably it probably needs a little bit more planning before February. I don't know how fast something like that can come up.
No, it's not going to happen before February. But I think you also need a lot of more time to pave the way for a really libertarian party in Germany, because during the last years, it was like the government always said, oh, don't worry, don't do something by yourself. We are taking care of you. So thinking from yourself, having self-responsibility is something the Germans are not used to. They're pretty afraid of. To say, okay, I'm responsible for my own life. I don't need the government to help me in any kind of way. Please, government, leave me alone. That's something the Germans need to learn. And I think it will take some time. And then, because if you have someone like Millet popping out in Germany right now, I don't think he would win an election. I think the Germans would be afraid of him. So we have to pave the way for a German Millet to say, okay, we are going to take over now, and we are going to get rid of a lot of government departments and a lot of money out of the political system. We need some time, but I'm a little bit optimistic that might be possible in Germany because it's so worse, so bad at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah, that's very, very true. Perfect. Then we have one question that each and every one of my guests is getting. What can we learn from you besides Bitcoin?
That's a good question. I think speaking up. I think not being afraid to speak your mind, because that's something I always did in my whole life. I learned that from my father. My father spoke up in Romania and he went to prison for it for 6 years. Don't be intimidated by the government or by anybody telling you you're not allowed to speak up. And even if there's some danger, you need to have people who speak up and who don't back, or when you see there is backslash and there is a huge uproar in the press or something, and people are coming after you, stand your ground. Don't give in. You have an opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. Speak up. That's the most important thing. Don't be afraid of speaking up.
That's beautiful. And we definitely have to do that in Bitcoin, especially now in Europe, but also for the Americans and also for the UK people. I know there's also a big crowd in the UK that is listening to the podcast. It's also really important there. Australians definitely also in Canada.
Yeah. Because
really cool.
We are more than they are. If all the people speak up, if we stick together and say we have enough, they can't jail everybody. The jails are not big enough for all of us. So if all of us are speaking up, they have no chance. People forget that the politicians are our employees. If the people of the country say enough, we have enough of you, politics is over. So just keep that in mind, that politicians are your employees, and tell them what to do.
Politics serve the people and not the other way around.
Yeah.
Really cool. We have an entertain in the podcast where the previous guest is asking a question for the next guest without knowing who the next guest actually is. And your question from the previous guest is, do you believe there will be a Order 6102 event with the Wall Street Bitcoin ETFs?
Help me on that, please. What?
Sorry, the Order 6102 is where they confiscated gold back in the days.
Oh.
So basically the question is, do you think the US government will confiscate the Bitcoin from the ETFs? Some Bitcoiners are worried about the big honeypot at Coinbase, and the government is like, hey, we want Bitcoin. We don't want to buy it. But there's a lot of Bitcoin at Coinbase sitting. We can just take them.
Well, there's always a slight chance for politicians to do that. That's why I get the ETF. I think the ETF is very important for a lot of people being able to buy Bitcoin. But that's what I wouldn't buy ETFs, but always have my own coins and my own keys. So they are politicians. If they run out of money, everything might be possible.
Very true. Yeah. It's definitely a possibility. And that's why I always say only invest in ETFs, MicroStrategy, or any other Bitcoin proxy. If you have to, Bitcoin in self-custody is always the better choice. I mean, if you have a pension account where you cannot get the money out and you can only invest in the Bitcoin ETF, then there's no possibility. You basically have to do that. But make sure you have a nice self-custody stack at your proposal.
Absolutely.
Perfect. And thank you so much, Joana, for taking the time. Before I let you go, where can people find you, ask you questions, and read more about you?
Well, I'm on social media, especially on X. I think that's the only platform you can really speak your mind at the moment and not getting censored like on Facebook or another. You can find me there under my name, or I have a website. Or until February, still the email from the Bundestag you can find online. Just email me and I will come back to you.
Perfect. And thank you so much. I will link the Twitter profile, the X profile in the description. I'm still not used to saying X in the description down below. So everyone can just click on it and shoot your DM or see what you're talking there. Thank you so much for being on. Also, thank you so much for everyone that is watching and listening. As always, I'll be back tomorrow with another episode. Bye-bye.
Thank you.